It is my great pleasure to be back to this campus. I have been here before, many years ago, maybe with my boss. So I'm sitting here when he stands here. And also 23 years ago, I applied for the school because I think it was the best B school in China with a strong connection to Europe. And in the end, because I don't have enough international exposure, I tried to work for an American company. So I end up in a school in Philadelphia. So that's where I missed CEIBS 23 years ago, but it's my great pleasure to be back. And Cargill had to be a strong employer for CBS for quite some time. And we seem to be lose connection a little bit for the last 4 or 5 years. I think that's also another purpose we want to be back. But to testify my commitment to the school, I did hire a good MBA, Simon, 2 years ago. And he's still with Cargill, even though with a lot of attraction from outside. And I believe he will be with Cargill at least for the next couple of years. At the same time, we did an offer to another classmate of Simon, I think it's Ian, and he joined us from Bain. Just remember, Cargill hired a lot of people from the names in your mind at your dream job, McKinsey and Bain and BCG. So at the end of the day, you can go different routes. You can still end up in Cargill. So as I stay with Cargill for 20 years, so it's a good testimony. I have the commitment to Cargill. So I will try to tell you a little bit about Cargill tonight, and also tell you a little bit maybe about myself. And then I would rather like to have a Q&A session. So my name is Jerry. I'm a native Chinese, still holding a Chinese ID card, so no US passport. I went to Wharton in 2000. Since then, I joined Cargill, and I love Cargill so much. I worked for Cargill for 21 years, almost by June. And because I used to be an MBA, I interview a lot of MBA. I'm writing a lot of letters, recommendation for MBA. So I will be happy to share with you what I learned from my program and what I can do for you, what the program will help you, and what kind of people Cargill is looking for, and what type of things your boss is expecting you to deliver. So there are a lot of things I would like to share. And before I tell you a little more about Cargill. So before I tell you what is Cargill, I first want to let you know what is not Cargill. So number one, the rumor, Cargill is a CIA operation. That's wrong. So it seemed to you a surprise. What the hell, Cargill is part of US government? But a lot of people in China, they do believe so. So part of my job today, I'm traveling quite a bit to the country to tell everyone we are nothing to do with US government. We are a private company. So that's number one. Remember, we are a private company. And the number two things, that's why Cargill is so low profile. We are not a public company. So you look at all the stock market. If you are lucky, I'm not quite sure, you cannot buy any Cargill stock. And so that's why we are, relatively speaking, not as famous as other consumer brand and the employer, but I believe Cargill is still a great company with 150 years of history. And number three, that's the mystery. We are not a green trading house. So normally when people look at Cargill, they will say Cargill is part of the C of ABCD. That's not exactly the right description for Cargill. So we start our business 156 years ago in Wisconsin as a green trader with a family of Scotland origin. But we grow over the years our business into egg supply chain, food ingredients, animal nutrition, animal protein, and we are the largest shaper in the world. You may not know, as big as Costco. We are the number 2 industrial chocolate player in the world. We used to be number 1 feed company before New Hope and CP become number 1 and number 2, and now we are number 3. And we are the number 1 core milling business if you don't consider ethanol. So that's where Cargill is a complex company, but mainly we are serving people for their food and make people have a better life. And our mission is we try to nourishing the world, not only their body, but also their mind. So that's why we are in the agriculture business, we're in the food, and also animal health and protein. And we have a little bit the side business, which Lisa is quite familiar because we have a very big metal business. So we are the big traders in China for iron ore. So that's overall what is Cargill and what is not Cargill. So at the end of the day, we are not CIA, we are not public company, we are a private company, and we are not only trading grain, we're also processing, we have oil, we have chicken, we have a lot of stuff, even for ladies. We have a beauty products. So that's where Cargill is in your life. You don't see them, but it's behind all other brands. And just for your information, the size of Cargill, we used to be the #1, the biggest private company for the last 35 years of Forbes. We are only missed it by 2 times. And this year we missed it #2 by $400 million. It's a shame. We'll get it back because the soybean price is so good. So by next year, I'm quite sure we'll be back for #1, the largest private company in the world. And so that's where we are. We start from the farm field and we go all the way near the consumer. So there's a slightly difference. There's a lot of company in China, their claim will be, we go from all the way from the farm field to your table. Normally we stop in our customers' backyards. So we deliver the ingredients to McDonald's, to Coca-Cola, to Pepsi, and to P&G. And they produce the consumer goods and they sell to you. So that's where, in general, 98% sure we are a B2B business. But in some categories, I will tell you later, in some countries, we do have a try to have some consumer brand. Here's the part maybe you are more interested and more relevant, Cargill China. So we have been here for almost 50 years. So this year, we will have a big celebration. And I hope you will see Lisa's drones in the Huangpu River in the boundary areas, I don't know where, November, October, and we'll spend some money to celebrate our 50 years anniversary. We have almost 10,000 people and 40 operations, all the way where Lisa have been in Songyue in the Northeast about 15 years ago, and all the way to the south, to Guangzhou. And that's where we have been. And over the years, we have do a lot of things also to help the local community. So for every operation, almost, we have one Cargill Care Council, and we try to support the local farmer, the local school, and we also to do the program maybe even early than our dear president, the elimination of the poverty. So we help 3 million powers to train them how to raise a chicken farm and how to feed the pig better. So that's the way over the 50 years we have been supporting China, especially for those people who have great needs. And at the same time, we have been helping 1,200 kids with better nutrition. And we have overall 40 operations. So we have shaping, metals, we have some financial service. So if you really like financial service, and you can always go to Wall Street, but Cargill may be one way you can try as well. And we have also a branch office from a Japan company, Toshoku. We have a chocolate, and that's where ladies will like it. We have beauty products. So Cargill is a very complex company. We do all the good things behind the scene, but we do have a lot of things to offer you, both as a provider of the products, at the same time as a potential employer. So the good news about Cargill will be, if you join the meat company, you are vegetarian, you are doomed because you don't want to see the pigs be killed every day. But if you join Cargill, you say, I'm a little bit tired with the feed products. You can try chocolate. And if you can say, I want to try something in Geneva because I want to try something in Europe, we might try to work it out to give you some assignments to work in Europe, in Switzerland. So that's where the reason I joined Cargill, I forgot my story in the beginning, is number one, Cargill is so big nobody can buy Cargill. Remember this, it's very important when you have a mortgage. Because you don't want to be the employee when your company be bought by someone, you'll be called synergy. So that's, you have to be very careful. And number two, Cargill is a really, really global company, because some other companies say, I'm a global company. I don't believe it, because they may have operation in Europe, in North America, and that's it. But for Cargill, we have assets over 70 countries, 1,200 plants, and even we have operation in Africa, in Paraguay, in South America, and in China. So that's where it's a truly international company. And the point will be the people who work at Cargill, they also have this global mentality. So I think in this world, it's very hard for you to claim you to be even a China company. I just see a Feihe dairy company of China. It's very local from Heilongjiang, but now they are talking about their vitamin operation in US and their dairy operation in Canada. So even a local Chinese company today, they have to think about the global supply chain. So that's the second thing about Cargill. The third thing you will find out, Cargill people, especially the leaders, they are very humble. There's some family experience there. So that's the part of the reason I stay in Cargill for 21 years, because sometimes when you find some opportunity outside, you will think about leaving it. Me too. For some time, I thought about it. But when you thought about the thing you will lose, especially the relationship with your colleagues, the price you have to pay is really higher. So sometimes I balance, because I'm trained by Wharton, I'm good accountant, the cost and benefit, I made the decision, I will stay with Cargill for 21. And Tina, if she allows, I may stay till my retirement. So she had to tell my boss my commitment to Cargill. And the fourth thing will be, that's also the reason I'm here. When I joined Cargill, I joined a program they call SBD. And part of some other youth school joined that program too. It's a little bit like a general management program. And during that program, I spent 4 years with Cargill. I do M&A, I do strategy, I do corporate development program. So it's like a post-MBA program. So Cargill take people very seriously. In my time there, every year I have 5-week full-time training. And Cargill is very hard on this. Even though I'm over 50, that's a secret. I still got trained before the COVID for 4 weeks and 2 weeks in France. That's really good. So that's where the company, they take people as the greatest assets and they would like to invest in people. So remember my 4 reasons, maybe for you to join Cargill. This is a big company, great. And another secret I tell you, Cargill always outperform when there's a crisis. So just FYI, I can't tell you the number because Cargill is a private company, but I can tell you in the COVID year, Cargill was a fantastic record year of the last 156 years, just because the nature of business, the diversity of the products, the diversity of the geography offers Cargill a natural hedge. And we are offering the basic ingredient and food to people. And when there's a crisis, the demand will never die. And to a lot of degree, it will grow. And number two, Cargill is a very humble and people-oriented company. I will care about people. And very international and truly international. And wherever you want to go, easily you can find a Cargill operation. And number four, we are really serious in people and we would like to invest in you. And like Simon, and Yin is now here. And when Simon or Yin join us, not only in my business, and sometimes we sit down together, we will see what we can help you to achieve for the next 5-10 years. So we take a relatively, because of the nature of the private company, longer time horizon to work together. That's why the reason sometimes people stay with Cargill for a little bit longer time, because we try to build a career together. And now back to Cargill's business. So the thing we realize, so the things make us successful for the last 150 years or more is not enough, because we are living in a totally different world and we are facing a challenge. When in year 2020, I met my CEO, I told him the bad news. I said, there's something called COVID in China. You better be prepared. And according to my experience of SARS, it will be okay by June. So to one degree, I was right. by June, China is totally okay. And then I look at outside, the world outside China is not okay. And now we are in a totally different world. I think if we are really optimistic, I think the early time China will be opened up, the world will be normal. Maybe the year of 2022, about maybe March, April. And we have a lot of new challenges. People have a different challenge. We have consumer have a totally demand, new brand coming out. We are talking about digital. And finally, China, US, Cargill, they all agree sustainability is a high priority. And your customer are asking for this. So that's where Cargill is also think about innovation. And what that to do with you, because everyone of the room, you go to MBA, you have ambitions. You always want to do something challenging and different. You don't want to be a green trader of Cargill 50 years ago. You don't want to be a metal trader. You don't want to be a plant superintendent because you want to do something more exciting. And that's where I think Cargill have been working very hard. So for our future strategy for 2025, a lot of the key drivers, I think very relevant to every of you guys, grow Asia and grow emerging markets. So clearly that's the key. And customer focus, that's no brainer because you can never win without focus on consumer, and also to be more innovation and value added. And also at the same time, everyone knows digital. So that's where Cargill have been doing a lot of things to capture the new opportunity. So that's where Cargill, we call it Cargill One, is the innovation center. That's where we do plant-based protein and we do food ingredient formulation. We try to become a solution provider rather than a single commodity trader or single ingredient provider. And here's a couple of, we call the cool products. And we have a sugar reduction. I hope you guys have a taste of our new brand. It's a plant-based chicken, and also some very great beauty stuff. Here is a new chicken stuff.
欢迎来到 Plant Ever 直起的植物肉基地。
Sorry for the Chinese.
营养豌豆、健康黄豆和活力小麦，层层严控把关，依托专业研发技术，提取出非转基因植物蛋白，素食营养，肉食享受，没有胆固醇，不含反式脂肪酸，含有蛋白质、膳食纤维，满足人体营养需求。 让你健康吃肉无需计算，体验品质生活，直起是你的蛋白营养新选择。植物蛋白鸡块酥脆可口，植物蛋白汉堡饼味美多汁，膳食新体验，美味新感受。亲友闺蜜聚会，加班休闲小食，开启你的轻食主义新味觉，值得，所以值得。Plan Ever 直起。
I think there's a code. If you want to go, you can buy online. That's a commercial for my colleague for the chicken business. And that's another thing, antibiotics. And because we have been living through China, and antibiotics usage in animal production used to be a very serious issue, and especially for the young kids. And here, Cargill also try to find out some solution as well.
加急出品自有农场全产业链养殖系统，从源头到成品严控品质，确保食品安全、健康、美味直达餐桌。太阳谷不使用抗生素童子鸡，养殖过程中不使用抗生素和激素，不使用农药，自然生长，天生强健，肉质细腻、饱满嫩滑。更联合咖发食品信任追溯平台，让你吃得更加安心。 多种烹饪方式，不管你煮它、蒸它，还是烤它，它总是用鲜美多汁来回应你。太阳谷不使用抗生素童子鸡，还有免洗鸡块同步上市中哦。太阳谷。
I'm a little more familiar. So sugar reduction is clearly the key theme for the new health trend. And here we try to develop something both look cool and is healthy.
Truvia's sweetness revolution started small, but just keeps getting better. So let's get mixing, baking, spooning, blending, frosting. Let's get sweetening. Because now there is Truvia Sweet Complete, the do-it-all sweetener that does it all with 0 calories per serving. From cookies to coffee to cocktails, the revolution is now in your hands.
And here is another thing is also related with the health trend. It's a plant-based protein, and here is a pea protein.
Hi, my name is Vani. So basically, I'm probably like one of those crazy and ambitious graduates who want to do something more challenging. So basically, I just started a so-called plant-based protein food in China with my partners. And now we realize that we are crazy enough to do it because we currently know that there are so many big players, like Plant Ever is backed up by Cargill. And then there is also like a Plant Plus that is currently launching. So I backed up by the PFI and the investment. And then there is Hero, there is Zero. There are so many brands right now, and they're all backed up by the big investors. Like in your point of view and in the strategy, how do you guys plan to differentiate? I mean, like I'm in the plant-based, but I'm not one of those suro category. But I would like to know, like, how do you guys plan to do it? Because it feels like kind of like more like a game of investment right now. But how do you foresee the market, and then how do you guys plan to differentiate? Because especially Cargill, I think at the end, everybody, the manufacturing facilities all the same, and then they're all creating different types of brands. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are two things. One will be the healthy trend for healthier food and for plant-based protein is there. And to solve that pinpoint of the consumers, you have a multiple solutions. And you can have soy milk. We talk about this. You can have a pea protein just as a in your diet complement. And the meat part is you help those people who still want a meat flavor, but they don't want to have the animal protein piece. I have been studying in a B school and working for strategy for Cargill. And as a leader, I look at strategy for quite some time. But the lesson I learned in the last 3-4 years, a lot of things don't happen from the strategy room. It happens from the consumer, and you don't second guess what the consumer really want. I think at the end of the day, the beautiful facility is not that difficult to build. You got the money, you hire the talent, easy to build. But how you to develop your products with the good performance, quality, and just to meet the need of the consumer is more difficult. And part of the thing you will be successful is by failures. And you may have to fail a couple of times the end of the day before you find the solution. So for me today, I'm more realistic than before. My guys, commercial marketing guys sitting in the room, and we figure out what's the best solution of plant-based protein for the consumer. But rather than that, we try to develop some pilot plant, small cost, and Cargill call it when we do the training, fail small and fail fast. And at the end of the day, the market will tell you what's the best solution. The consumer will vote, but the fundamental thing will be you have to bring the value to the consumer. And in China, at least I know whatever you do, the customer is still very care the taste and sometimes texture too. So that's my now simple answer to your question. I hope it's helpful.
Hello, Jerry. So I would like to understand more on. Understood that Cargill was doing on poultry and like animal proteins and also plant protein-based meat. So how do you see that is a synergy or it will be a cannibalization from with the animal proteins? And do you see actually plant-based protein is just a hype of a trend, or is a more sustainable kind of a trend for future?
Yeah. I think sometimes a company have to have the courage to cannibalize part of your business, and before you can grow into something new. So if you always hold what you have, you may be dying. I think if Nokia is still doing what they do, they used to be a forest pump company, and they could be a dying mobile cell phone company. And now they are pretty good, I think, service provider and for cloud, for other things. So I think for Cargill, the leader realized there's a demand for plant-based protein not long ago. So Cargill did have the courage. We would like to offer what the consumer really needs. I think at the same time, it doesn't mean our old traditional protein business will die, because the world is so big. And not only China, but the world, you have different income level people, you have different cultural background, you have different religion. And Cargill's mission is try to make the supply chain more efficient and bring things from the surplus areas to where the deficit, and try to be more customized to the consumer needs. I think that's very represent value. And another thing will be those journey will take a long, long time. So people are talk about plant-based protein today, but I assume the consumer education process will not just happen overnight. It could be 3 years, could be 5 years. So my short answer will be, it will happen, but it might be as early as expected. Just to give another example, when I say this is a zero sugar reduction product, it's called erythritol. So Yuanqi Senlin single-handedly built a category in China, 零糖零卡气泡水. Cargill invested in erythritol when I joined Cargill. So that's way back 21 years ago. And this thing did fly in China last year. Outside China, maybe 3 years ago. So a company is not only enough to have the vision. Yes, Cargill had a vision 21 years ago. You also have the money and the stomach to hold there for 17 to 18 years. So life sometimes is not so fair. That's why you need to join Cargill, right? So we can hold a little longer.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, and very nice to hear that you have operations and assets in 70 countries, which looks very good in terms of a globalization when everybody is in just in time. Do you want to share some more insights, like when we are talking about this deglobalization, or a lot of people are talking about just in case rather than just in time for the entire supply chain? Thank you.
I think when you talk about business, there's some business is global supply chain, like soybean. So soybean will only be produced mainly in US and Brazil. And majority of those will be consumed in China. So this is a part of a global supply chain. That's where you have to make sure it works. But even in the worst scenario of the Trump administration, that's the most against China, the most unfriendly administration, the global soybean trade flow still works, because when Trump put a higher tariff on China against each other, those beans go to Brazil. And those smart Brazilians, they sell the beans to China. So at the end of the day, the China consumer pay a price. The US farmer pay a price, but the Brazilian farmers have a great time and traders. So that's where, when there's a fundamental deficit of surplus, that's where Cargill came to play, to bring the things from those the farmer need to sell in either country to the consumers in China. On the other hand, like the feed business is very local. So even though Cargill is a global feed operation, but our feed mill in China, they are not only supply at the national level. Basically, the plant in Harbin, they supply the Harbin areas. The plant in Yunnan supply Yunnan. So it depends. The global supply chain is very complex. There's something like the chips or the cell phones. It's a very global supply chain. And they have something produced in Japan, something in Korea. I know a lot of companies, I'm sitting on the American Chamber, they are working on this, but a lot of people face a great challenge. to really rebuild a second supply chain outside somewhere. So we are optimistic with some reservation. So there will be disturbance like what happened between China, US, China, Europe today. But at the same time, we also realize over time, the fundamental economics sometimes override politics. And as a Cargill, we always believe free trade will benefit everyone, but it had to be fair trade. You want to win-win, not one party win twice, right? So to get it clear, someone say win-win, you win twice, that doesn't work. To make it sustainable, you have to like both sides have a benefits from the fair trade. So.
Well, thank you very much to both of you. My name is Andre. I'm with Glow Coach, and I have a question regarding talents, and maybe both of you or Tina, you can answer that. You have a long time perspective. You're a privately held company, so you work by different rules than the public companies bound to quarterly results, right? But in China, what I'm seeing here, particularly with a lot of our clients that are multinationals, the pressure of changing the model in terms of how to attract and retain key talent, particularly with millennials. So they don't have that 17-year or 18-year perspective, right? They want to have a contribution in 6 months from now. They want to feel valued and have impact with the organization very, very quickly. And you obviously do compete with, let's say, Chinese startups, Shanghai, Beijing, and other places. So what are the challenges that you are facing to attract the right talent and retain that talent to ensure you have that succession planning and oomph in 16, 17, 18 years from now?
So I think you already addressed well the challenges, for example, startup. So I think as a global company, we have to admit, not only in China, but in other countries, for example, India. I mean, a lot of developing countries have more and more local companies. They are just grow rapidly with a different speed, with different focus, and bring a different excitement. We should admit that, not only for Cargill, for a lot of MNCs. So that's a challenge for a company like Cargill. We are ship, I feel like. One side, we provide a lot of portfolio. The other side, we are never to work as fast as Yuanqi Senlin, right? It's a different setup. So what we are trying to do is we really focus on long-term, just like as a company, we are not a listed company. We focus on more long-term. So we want to hire the people and retain the people, really feel like have a more long-term career view with the company, with mostly number one, the culture fit. Number two, the long-term career vision they can establish in Cargill, because we have very broad portfolio, just including Jerry, myself, our Cargill team. We have a lot of roles can change and progress further, which probably a different speed versus some other company. But if you look at myself, I changed 10 jobs in 14 years. I don't think that's too slow. I feel like, right, average 1.5 years, I change a job, and a lot of progression as well. So I feel like, of course, Generation Z, Generation Y, they have the different life choice priority versus, a baby boomer or even Generation X. But we still see the young talents, the talent who has the value fit with a company like a Cargill, want to provide a broad portfolio, a lot of great opportunity, and really care for people. So they feel like this kind of company really can, is someone we can ride with together for a long run. So that's my view.
Yeah, I think to solve a problem, the first one, you understand you have a problem. That's the number one step. So I'm a old-fashioned because I'm a little more age. So I try to educate my employee my style. So once I ask them to watch the video of Stockton go to Antarctica, and the whole ship is called endurance. Basically means you need to get through a lot of hardship before you reach the final destination. Then I got my first challenge question from a young employee. So what the hell I need to go through hardship? I want to go to the easy one first. So that's where, as a leader, we have to understand the younger generation have a different mentality. They have a different time schedule and different expectation from my generation. So if you don't understand that, you will be sure to fail. So that's where we think number one. If I generalize what exactly we can do, I think number one, you pay people decently and don't be shy, talk about money. Sometimes in Shanghai to buy a house, lease a house, it's quite expensive. So you have to pay market slightly higher and to pay the really good people really well. I think that's the good talent you need to pay for the price. Number two, you should have a clear, aligned goal about development of that guy or that lady. They should know exactly what I'm expecting. I think for my case, from my job into Cargill to my job as a BU leader, which is the first one, 150 years, is about 11 years. And Simon's boss, she's a lady, just got a similar job about 10 years. So that's Cargill's schedule today. So from an entry MBA level to an executive level job, it's about 10, 11 years. Maybe the first one will be 8. Maybe I think the latest is 11. For me, I think that's a proper pace. But between that, you need to offer maybe 2 to 3 steps, both to build up their experience, also at the time to really offer people the growth opportunity. The growth not means their bank account numbers, but also the exposure, the travel, the interaction, and the learning. I think a lot of people, when you go to MBA, you're ambitious. You want to grow yourself. And do you challenge them enough? I think that's where, in our case, we try to push people really hard. I think Simon's boss is a lady. She got a really big job running both risk management, procurement, commercial with $1 billion revenue. At the same time, I say, by the way, do you have time to do a 100 million CapEx project? And she really is a little bit saying, you are nuts. But at the end of the day, I think today, she should appreciate the effort I put here to force her to grow faster. I think that's number 2. Number 3, I learned to have fun. So we have the fun's annual party. I dress like a whatever. I dress a black swan. I speak like Zhao Benshan and the other guy. And I ski with them together. I play soccer with them together. I have lots of sports. And I will climb the mountain with the commercial team May 1st, 5,396 meters. So that's where, other than other stuff, you have to let them to find, they have some fun outside their work. So every morning when they wake up, they don't think it's miserable to show up in the waste. They have something else to do, try to build some environment. We eat a lot, we drink a lot. It's not a typical prescription for any MBA program, but I did a lot of those extra curriculum projects. But I think that's why pay people decently, offer them the room to grow and give proper coaching. So which requires the leader spend significant time on people. So I remember my job today, I do nothing very specific. I don't do pricing. I see a lot of customers. I still see government officials, but I have a lot of time just to talk to people and know what's your needs, what's your mind. Are you happy? Are you unhappy? And what I can do for you. So that's where there's a quite demanding time for you to do this. So that's part of the answer we have today. We are not perfect. We still are losing people, but just give you one story. One old lady, MBA from Michigan, and she left us for a very super brand, the hot consumer brand company. I don't give the names, it hurts. And before she even joined the company, during the negotiation for some computers, she regrets. And she feels a little bit too shy to come back to Cargill. Then he found another 素肉公司. I don't give you the name too, but it's only a few. But I understand at that time I say, it's okay. I don't want to take you back at this moment. I know the reason you are leaving, but I would rather like you to stay in that company for 3-4 years and learn something about marketing consumer brand. Then I will take you back. But that story tells you, even Cargill today, when you have the opportunity to go out, do comparison, we are still attractive enough. And that's why we feel pretty confident. But with what we are now doing well, and that's the whole purpose. You'll see a large group of Cargill people show up tonight. We don't tell a good story. So my job, Tina's job, Sylvia's job, and Lisa, we will try to, as a Cargill, to be a little bit not so shy and try to tell not a good story, but a true story to attract more people and to find the right people. I'm not saying Cargill will be the best employer for everyone, but Cargill will be the best one for a lot of people. and let's fact who are those. You fit well with us, and we like you, and that's where the relationship will last longer.
Thank you for the presentation and very encouraging. And my name is Steven. I'm from the CEIBS alumni, MBA 2019, also classmate of Simon. And I can be
It's a good class. I can prove. I hired two. So.
Yeah, I can see the growth from these 2 years from Simon, and really, I think Cargill is really a good company. I can see the growth from him. And also from this job posting, I can see some keywords about some kind of digital manufacturing plan, something like that. So my question is regarding the digital transformation. As far as I know, Cargill has started investing on the smart manufacturing initiative. And how would you look at this smart manufacturing initiative? How would this initiative help China, Cargill China, to grow, to win in the future? And my second question is from a lot of talks from other people and also from the consulting companies. Most of this smart manufacturing is some kind of top-down approach. So personally, I want to share, if you can share some experiences in your position in the president of China, Cargill, how did you do and what would you do to accelerate that process in China? Thank you.
So first, thank you for you do your homework and find out we are doing smart manufacture. And actually, I'm a great fan of this. And China, I think in my business, we started before the corporate initiative because we find out from our competition. And in our industry, we are quite old fashioned. And normally a plant with the size of 1 million tons of corn, normally the number will be between 1,500 to 1,000 people who is working the plant, all the way from the unloading of the raw materials to the packaging in the finishing end. And then by accident, I suddenly realized there's a one plant from another Chinese state-owned company. They have 180. And we send people there. The good news is in China, people are quite open. It's easier for you to see other plants. We let some others to see us too, but we don't talk about price, don't get me wrong. And then we find out how they get organized, and it's highly automated, automatic sampling, and continuous product, a lot of investment. But at the same time, they say they have 20% of the workforce we have. And I think the lesson I learned for Cargill, for other companies, sometimes you need to be more open and don't take the things I said before, works for 100 years, 150 years, that won't work today. And you should push yourself up a little bit to see where the limit. And when I became the general manager for that plant about 15 years ago, I'm strongly against automation because labor is so cheap and machine is so expensive. And machine sometimes is not so reliable. What the hell you want to eliminate the people opportunity to make a little more decent money. But today, the people is more expensive, also important, not available. I don't believe any my second generation, my operator, will be an operator again. They don't like it, their parents don't like it, and they want to be some other jobs. And also some of the work is quite dangerous. And especially during the COVID, you will find automation, there's a few people make the plant run more smoothly, good quality, and sometimes more efficient. So that's where I start from Songyuan. We Cargill call it the lighthouse plant. We try to be a lighthouse to light up China first. And then sometime, one thing we have to remember. So in China today, with the outside world, for IP technology transfer, now is a two-way traffic. So that's why those guys, especially those people from outside China, is a luxury for you to hear. In your lifetime, not happen very often in the past, China can transfer some best technology in plant operation to outside the world. Why? Because people outside the world, they never built a plant in the last 30 years. And Cargill built most of their new plants in China. So we have the opportunity to try a lot of things new. So that's where we are starting with Songyuan. That's a start. We'll see how this works, but we cannot do from 1,000 to 200, but we can do 1,000 to maybe 700. But at the same time, the size of plant was doubled. So in reality, China, the the robot, the testing system, and the communication system give you a great opportunity to leapfrog into the next stage of automation. And also one more thing, another small commercial for Cargill. So we used to be in agriculture, tend to be a low-tech company. But today in our agriculture sector, for the contract farming, we use APP and GPS to track. So in the past, we need to train the farmer with a classroom like this, and the teacher show there, but in COVID, you can't do that. But today, the guy can load their APP and look at from their website, what you need to do. And also we can supervise. If this side of the farm is right, are they doing the right proper application of fertilizer? So in that sense, Cargill is a great company, old company, but we are as good as others to use new technology. Sorry for the time is short, but just one more thing for you to be happy. My title in Cargill in the first is a business analyst. So I can testify, you can go to the president of Cargill China, even though your initial title is an analyst.
So we always present this CEIBS ambassador, please. Thank you so much for your time. And one final announcement, we have plant ever samples in outside. So feel free to get your plant-based protein nuggets and chicken steaks and outside. Thank you so much, Jerry.
And once again, time is short. I'm very happy to be here. I'm also will be happy to see you in Cargill in the future, next year or later, or my customer. And I leave my business card here. My cell phone number there is my WeChat number. So if you want to reach out to have some after session therapy, I won't charge you. So go ahead.